Greetings, friends. Today, I'm going to tell you about Stefan, a programmer from Berlin. He is a product and an advocate of the European social system. For him, 4 weeks of paid vacation a year is not a privilege, but a sacred, inalienable right, as fundamental as freedom of speech. And so this man, convinced that Germany's work-life balance is the gold standard for the entire civilized world, accepts a 1-year contract at a fast-growing tech startup in San Francisco. One day, during lunch with colleagues, he proudly talks about his plans for August, to completely disconnect from the world for a month and go hiking in Peru. In response, he gets not envy, but a polite, yet utterly sincere, bewilderment. At that moment, for Stefan, it's not just a job in America that begins. It's the shattering of his worldview. This isn't a story about the number of vacation days. It's a story about how the American attitude toward time and ambition can completely flip your understanding of what true freedom is. And believe me, the conclusions this German programmer comes to will make you think. To understand the depth of Stefan's shock, you have to grasp the foundation of European vacation culture. In France, Germany, and Spain, a month-long holiday is the central event of the year. The planning begins in winter. The entire country seems to mentally sync up, preparing for the great August exodus when cities empty out and work inboxes fall silent, broken only by automated replies. I will be back in the office after August 30th. It's a ritual of a complete reset. The idea is to immerse yourself so deeply in leisure that you completely forget about work, projects, and deadlines. Someone who doesn't use their entire vacation is viewed with suspicion and pity. Stefan genuinely believed this was the only healthy approach. He thought the American standard of 2 weeks was barely enough to unpack and get over jet lag. To him, that wasn't living, it was surviving. He flew to California with a sense of superiority and a touch of pity for his future colleagues. The scene, a sun-drenched open-plan office in San Francisco's Soma district. Stefan is drinking craft coffee with his new team lead. Let's call him Mike. The conversation turns to summer plans. Stefan, not without a little pride, describes his upcoming 4-week trek to Machu Picchu. Mike listens, nods, and then asks a question that pulls the rug out from under Stefan. Cool. So who's going to support your code for a whole month? There was no judgment in his voice, only practical interest. To Mike and the other colleagues, the idea that a key employee could just vanish for 30 days in the middle of a new product launch sounded like science fiction. They told him about their approach: a week in Hawaii in February to go surfing, a long weekend at Lake Tahoe in May, another week in New York in the fall. Their life wasn't a cycle of work collapse vacation, but a series of short, intense sprints and reboots. Stefan looked at them like they were members of a cult who had voluntarily given up their own happiness. But as the weeks went by, Stefan started noticing details that didn't fit his worldview. His colleagues didn't seem unhappy or overworked. On the contrary, they worked with incredible energy and focus. Projects that would have been debated for months in his Berlin office went from idea to implementation in a matter of weeks here. And after work, they didn't just crawl home to the TV. They went cycling across the Golden Gate Bridge, went rock climbing, or sailed in the bay. And he began to realize a terrifying truth. His European month-long vacation wasn't so much a luxury as it was a necessity. It was needed to recover from a slow, often bureaucratic, and undynamic work environment. It was a way to escape the system. But the Americans didn't want to escape. They had built a system where work was so intense and engaging that it didn't require a month-long binge to recover from. Their short, frequent vacations weren't an escape, but pit stops in a race they actually enjoyed. The final epiphany came when he saw how his colleagues spent the money they earned. Mike, that same team lead, was in his early 30s and buying a house in Oakland, something Stefan, also in his 30s, couldn't even dream of in Berlin. Another colleague, a programmer named Jessica, was launching her own small online business selling designer candles on the side. The relentless momentum of American work culture, uninterrupted by long downtimes, created incredible financial and career velocity. People grew rapidly, earned more, and realized their dreams here and now, not putting them off until retirement. And Stefan looked at his upcoming vacation with new eyes. Yes, he would see Peru. But during that month, His project in San Francisco would either move far ahead without him or be put on hold. His momentum would be lost. He would come back and spend another 2 weeks just catching up. His sacred right to a vacation suddenly seemed like a break, a voluntary act of putting his own life on pause. Stefan sat at his desk, looking out at the San Francisco skyline, and thought. He realized this wasn't an argument about the number of days. It was a clash of two philosophies. The European philosophy says, work to live. Your real life begins where your work ends. The American philosophy responds, make your work a part of your life. Build a career and a lifestyle so engaging that you don't want to escape from them for a whole month. It's a choice between a long, steady walk with a big rest stop and a fast-paced, thrilling marathon with short but effective pit stops to recharge. There is no single right answer. But Stefan, for the first time in his life, doubted his unshakable faith in the superiority of the European way. He understood that the short vacation in America isn't a flaw. It's the conscious price you pay for a life lived at high speed, at the epicenter of global change and boundless opportunity. So what is true freedom? The ability to completely disconnect from everything for a month, or the ability to build a life you don't want to disconnect from? Is a long vacation a sign of a humane system, or a marker of a system you need a long time to recover from? Share your opinion in the comments. We'd be incredibly interested to discuss it. And of course, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next dive into the surprising American reality.